Good evening, everybody. It is December 8th, 2022. It is a Thursday. Tonight, we are going to be doing some beta testing on the stream. We are going to be migrating to a new streaming service. So tonight, there's not really going to be too much of a topic. I just need to do some testing here, but we will try to go outside and walk around. I really want to take you guys to Lincoln Center. Markets have been crazy. We'll cover that soon, I promise. But we are migrating to OBS Streamlabs. So I could see the chat on the screen now, but I'm wondering from your perspective, can you guys see the chat covering the screen? If that makes sense. I want to make sure that you guys, the viewer, aren't seeing anything a little bit awkward here. Let me see.
Right now, over 17 awkward here.
All right, it looks to be good. All right, we'll give this a try. We'll give this a try tonight. All right, it looks to be good. Really quick, we'll just do a quick market recap. We'll do a quick overview. Take a look at the XLE tonight, okay? The XLE is the Spiders Select Energy Sector ETF. Sold off again. You know, we tried to rally throughout the day, but if you notice, if you pull a 50-day moving average on the chart, we have rallied to the 50-day and then sold off, pretty much closing at the dead low of the day today. I do also want to bring your attention to crude oil futures, ticker symbol CL. For light crude futures, we sold off all the way down to $72, but we are up about 70 cents in after hours trading. Notice how once futures opened across the board on the S&P 500, the NASDAQ and the Dow Jones Industrial Average were all markedly higher, probably by about 1% or even more. Take a look at the E-mini futures contract on the S&P. We're up about 37 points, or about 1%, trying to rally back above that 200-day moving average. If you look at the Dow 30, YM, we're also rallying about 300 points after hours, roughly about 1%. Now, I think this may be some front running to a very important piece of economic news we are getting out tomorrow. That is right, tomorrow, Friday, December 9th, we're going to get the PPI numbers out. Big inflation data there. Also, I'd like to direct everybody's attention to next Tuesday. Tuesday is also when we will be getting the CPI numbers out. Okay, so we have two major inflation gauges coming out leading up to the FOMC meeting, which will be December 13th through the 14th. Now, we know, because we've been paying attention on the streams to the markets, that we are coming off the back of 4 consecutive 75 basis point rate hikes, okay? But the consensus is that we're probably gonna get a 50 basis point rate hike on the 14th. Okay, so the Federal Reserve is still in a hiking cycle, but they are hiking in smaller increments, or so they say. Now, the good news as we're talking about inflation, obviously the headline number, which includes very volatile food and energy. You know, if we've been watching crude oil, I mean, we're down. I'll give you the exact percentage amount. Just give me a minute here, let me pull it up. So crude oil, we topped on March 7th. I think it was a Monday. We topped at $130 a barrel. We're trading at 72 bucks now. That's a 44% move to the downside, which I think is going to be very positive if we're talking about overall broad-based inflation numbers coming down here. Now, if you remember back to last Monday when we heard from the New York Fed President John Williams as he was talking about inflation at the New York Economic Club, he was saying we're seeing commodity inflation come down, right? I mean, if you look at the broad-based individual commodities, they're very, very well off their highs. Now, commodities tend to have these huge boom-bust cycles that we need to pay attention to, but the one thing that's really, really pesky here, which is causing some more entrenched inflation, I should say, is really the wage gains and the wage pressures. And we heard about that, or heard a little bit of an update, when we got the non-farm payrolls out last week, beating economists' expectations by a large margin, that unemployment rate holding steady at 3.7%, and more importantly, wage pressures continue to increase. So I'm going to go ahead and close my laptop. We will try to do the live stream. The chat is about 50% working, so no promises there, but I want to take you guys to Lincoln Center. I think that's the most important thing. We got to accomplish that goal, and we're going to do it no matter what. So hope you all had a good Thursday. I trust you are doing well. I see Fred X, Austin City Limits, Zozo Bob. Good to see you, Bob. And let's try to go downstairs. Hopefully the chat will continue to work, but we'll just be doing some testing tonight. So no major topics. Big day tomorrow, PPI. Tuesday, another big day. We are going to be getting the CPI numbers out. Francesca's here, says hello, Tom. Good to see you. Western Mass. Dave, using people, welcome. Lynn McBride says hello, Tom, from the United Kingdom. Love the UK. I'll see you guys when we get downstairs. Hopefully we don't have any internet issues. So Destructionist is here. Welcome. Good to see you. Yeah, a lot of people are talking about BlackRock. We'll go into that. I think we want to go into that tomorrow. But I think it is worth talking about. I don't think it's as big of a deal as many people are making it out to be, but we could definitely talk about it. Yeah, Lincoln Center is nice. Walked past it on my last day in New York City. Oh, because you don't have Trader Joe's in Hawaii. Really? I didn't know that. There's no Trader Joe's in Hawaii? You know, I think you guys already know this. I'm not the biggest fan of Trader Joe's, but we'll see. All right, 57th Street Billionaires Row. We're outside the Russian Tea Room. I got the chance to actually go into the Russian Tea Room briefly. I didn't eat in there, but it's absolutely gorgeous inside. Right across the street here, we have the Park Hyatt Hotel, which doubles as a very, very fancy condominium, which is 157. And then if you look over here, you could see Central Park Tower and then 220 Central Park South, the two newest additions to Billionaires Row. Julia M says, hey all, welcome again, good to see you. I want to make sure that everybody got those two documents that I programmed in the Nightbot. I know yesterday our stream was a little bit wonky with the chat, so I apologize for that. So I really wanted to make sure that all of you received the Toll Brothers earnings report press release. Now, I understand and I know what you're thinking. Tom, I don't think it's appropriate to use Toll Brothers as a proxy to the housing market. And I get that. I understand. But this is what I would say. Man, it's freezing out. Jeez. It must have dropped like 10, 20 degrees because today was actually a really nice day in New York. The sun was out for the first time in, I don't know, 2 years. And it was actually quite nice. It's cold now though. Anyway, so we know Toll Brothers is more luxury homes, right? They're a luxury home builder. So maybe that doesn't represent, or it's not a fair representation of the broad grasp of the housing market. But I still think we could pull data from it. One of the most interesting things that I noticed from the report, I think about 20% of all buyers in Q4 paid with cash. So no financing, no debt, all cash buyers, 20%. That's significant. We have the FDNY coming by here. Ryan Royal, good to see you. Now, once again, if you type !toll, T-O-L, in the chat, the Nightbot will drop the link to the earnings report press release. Now, it was a very, very strong report, a very strong quarter. Now, there were some bright spots and there were some not so bright spots, right? I think net contract, new contract signs or signatures were down 60%, right? But I think that's to be expected, especially since we had a near 100% move in interest rates from year over year. Now, I will say this. The average 30-year fixed rate mortgage, I think, is about 6.5%. You're looking at the beautiful Central Park Tower here, by the way. And look at this shot. This is an amazing shot of 157. And look at that full moon. That's amazing with the clouds going by. But the average 30-year fixed rate mortgage is right around 6.5%. But I did see some individuals on Twitter. They were actually saying that they were getting quoted, 6.25% and 6% on a 30-year fixed, which would make sense, right? Because I guess based upon, depending on credit quality and credit worthiness of the individual, rates may vary there. And if we've been looking at the 10-year U.S. Treasury yield, we've actually been declining rather steeply and very, very rapidly. The 10-year U.S. Treasury yield has broken trend below the 50-day moving average. And as we know, the 10-year U.S. Treasury yield is the benchmark, right, for which a lot of other debt instruments are priced. So other debt instruments will be priced via a spread over the 10-year. So I don't know, maybe that's going to give a little bit of a boost to the housing market. But if you look at overall sales transactions, down a ridiculous amount. But if we think about Toll Brothers, I thought they reported a good quarter. They had margin expansion in an environment when many other companies in the United States are reporting gross margin contraction. If you look all the way down here, you could see the Trump International Hotel and Tower, located right at Columbus Circle. We are going to walk past there in order to go up to the one and only Lincoln Center. Using people, says Tom, do you think energy drink companies will do well next year? So I have a question for all of you, and I'm so glad you mentioned that. Did anybody read, I don't know if it was the cover story or if it was... Okay, I don't think it was the cover story for Investors Business Daily this week. I think it may have been the New America story. Now, I have to ask everybody in the chat, have you heard of an energy drink called Celsius? Anybody in the chat maybe could provide some clarity there? Now, I've never heard of it until I read the article, but I was looking at the sales and earnings growth, or I was looking at the sales growth rather, and it's ramping like crazy. Now, if you look at the stock, I believe it's trading near 52-week highs. And I also think that in this environment, it's a true market leader. So maybe... Okay, so I'm seeing people say they have heard of it. Maurice says may have heard of it. Sam says never tried it. Yeah, so the reason why I think I'm interested in that, now again, I have to do further work, right? So when we try to generate these trade ideas, it's not, it's trading near 52-week highs, sales are ramping, let's go buy it. No, we have to do a lot more further work. But think about the trajectory of Monster Beverage. Anybody familiar with Monster Beverage? I think we have to cross here because it may buffer a teeny bit. But we are right at Columbus Circle with the one and only Deutsche Bank Towers. I think that guy's a little bit too drunk. But I think Monster Beverage was one of the top performing stocks of the last decade, if I'm not mistaken. GG NYC says, yes, I know Monster. Using people says you drink Monster Zero. Copy that. Interesting. Yeah, so I think Wall Street is probably modeling the stock Celsius for a potential, it's going to sound kind of weird, but for a monster run, but not saying like a monster run like the stock's going to go up crazy, but modeling it on the same sort of framework as Monster Beverage. So read the Investors Business Daily article. It was very intriguing. I think they have about 3% market share in the beverage market already. I think they are the number one seller on Amazon. I think beating out Red Bull. And there's another energy drink that they mentioned in the article too. I think it was called Bang Energy. I don't know. I'm not the guy to ask about this stuff. I don't drink any of that stuff. But I am intrigued by it. Toby Sanchez is here. Says, how you doing? Using people says Celsius energy drink tastes good, but they don't give me any energy. Yeah, supposedly, and again, I don't know. I have to do further work on this, but supposedly their claim to fame is it's not like a sugary energy drink. It's supposed to be healthy. Now, I don't know if that is true, but we'll see. John Swiller says, most of your sports bars and sports drinks are just rubbish. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, John. I mean, most of them are just really glorified candy bars, right? But I don't know. Check it out. I've never seen them in stores, to be honest. So maybe, I'm just not looking hard enough, but I usually never buy energy drinks in the first place. But Celsius really, really ramping their sales growth. And look, I think it's a very lucrative business. Very, very lucrative. Austin City Limits says, Tom, how's the phone screen? Are you able to read the comments? So I'm able to read some of them. So we are now using OBS Streamlabs. So it's still a little bit wonky. The text is very, very small. So it's near impossible to read. But I'm going to try to do my best. And I do apologize for that. So this is one of my favorite views in the entire city. We're standing directly outside of Trump International Hotel and Tower, but you're overlooking the entire Billionaires Row, okay? So for those of you who are new, if you look all the way over here, this is 432 Park Avenue. Then if we go from left to right, you could see the Stairway to Heaven or the Steinway building. The building with the very luminescent white top is 157. And then we get to the the two newest additions to Billionaires Row, which is Central Park Tower and 220 Central Park South, which stands one with the golden top, which is very, very nice. Vivian says, yes, Coca-Cola now owns Monster Beverage. Robert, good to see you, Robert. Thanks for being here. You know what's another very, very lucrative business? It's not a publicly traded company, but it's an absolute cash cow. Of course, I would forget the name of it. Let me try to remember it. Oh, yes. Okay, it is called Liquid Death. Has anybody heard of that company? Liquid Death? Essentially, it's genius marketing. Really quick, this is 15 Central Park West. This is one of the most exclusive buildings in all of New York City. I believe the former CEO of Goldman Sachs, Lloyd Blankenfein, has an apartment in this building. Absolutely beautiful building. Overlooks Central Park and, of course, Billionaires Row. Yes, Sam, you're right. Very expensive water. You're 100% correct. Yeah, so I think they market it, right? And this was also in an Investors Business Daily article. They did fantastic journalism on it. Now, essentially what it is, it's seltzer water, right? That's pretty much all it is. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I've never had one. But they market the can to have all these very aggressive designs on it, so it kind of looks like a beer, right? Like an IPA or something. So for those people who don't drink, but you don't want to feel left out if you're at a bar or you're at a big music venue or a sporting event, you can have this can that says Liquid Death. I know it's kind of crazy, but they're flying off the shelves. The profit margins must be so unreal because essentially they're selling seltzer water. And I think, let me give you guys a better shot than that. Look at this. Look at how fantastic 15 Central Park West looks. You have the roundabout here. You have all of the holiday Christmas lights. Fantastic. Yeah, Palmetti's says good marketing, right? Ryan Royal says, wait, it's just water. Yeah, it is. It is just water, but it's like a seltzer water, like a sparkling water. But the markup is so aggressive. I mean, they just must be blowing it out of the water with the gross margins. It just must be sick. But yeah, it's interesting. It's more of like a status symbol, like a trend, right? There was a really, really good article in Investors Business Daily about it. Now, again, it's not a publicly traded company, but who knows? Maybe one day it will be. Using People says, Tom, it's $4 for 12 ounce. It's expensive. Wow, I didn't know it was $4. I was gonna say like $2 for a bottle of water. I didn't know it was $4. That's a lot. God bless him. Wow. Oh, Sam says it's not sparkling? I thought it was sparkling. Oh, then that's even more crazy. Wow. Yeah, Robert, that's true. Says trends don't last forever. You're right. And I think that's, so adopt the Pitbull Save a Life says no carbonation, it's just H2O. That's even more, that's blowing my mind. I thought it was like a sparkling water. So they're just selling water in a can and calling it liquid death. They're genius. Oh my God. Wow. That's insane. Using People says, do you think coffee will be obsolete in 30 years? I don't. Speaking of coffee, I'm gonna have to go into my college files, because in one of our economics classes we had to write a bull and a bear thesis on an emerging trend, and one of the what I chose is, and this was back in 2014 or 15. I don't know. It was one of them, but I'm gonna try to find it, because I wrote, speaking of coffee, I wrote a bull thesis that China, Japan, and Korea would be the three biggest adopters for coffee drinkers. And if you remember on Wall Street, I always remember watching CNBC, and this was right at the time, I would say 2013 through about 2016, the very, very early part of 2016. This was when Howard Schultz and team were really, really getting very aggressive for China adoption. Now, there was many analysts on the street that were writing negative research reports saying Starbucks would never take off in China because a lot of people in Asian culture just don't drink coffee. They drink tea. And I couldn't have disagreed. Whoa. I couldn't have disagreed with them more. And lo and behold, this is the Smith restaurant, by the way. So there's a lot of restaurants right up and down this avenue here, because it is right across the street from Lincoln Center, so you can get a dinner and a show all in one night. We're gonna head towards Lincoln Center, but Starbucks is one of the fastest growth drivers, I should say, has been the Asia Pacific markets over the last 5 years. Now, if you've been paying attention to Starbucks earnings reports as of late, they have been, for obvious reasons, throwing out a criticism to China. Same-store sales have actually been declining because of these zero COVID policies. But it seems as if with a lot of these protests and riots that are coming about, it seems as if the CCP is toning it down a little bit on those particular lockdown restrictions. So we'll see. I think it's still a big bull thesis. Hey, John the landlord is here, says love the view, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Joe Driver says, Tom, a question, big money is going into fixed income. What does that mean? Well, I think you've just had bonds being pounded, right? I think that's what has driven a lot of the major stock market sell-off prior to this rally, right? So generally speaking, when you have an uncontrolled sell-off in the debt market, that usually spills over to equities. So bonds have been getting killed. So maybe capital allocators feel like it's a good time to get exposure to fixed income. Now, are you talking specifically about that big print? I think it was like a $3 billion print on TLT. Is that what you were referring to? I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I'm actually more interested in what you think. But this is what I was talking about. Look at how interesting this looks. For those of you who are new, you were looking at Lincoln Center here, 66th Street and Broadway. Toby Sanchez says, Tom, what's your favorite coffee? If it's in the summer, I would get a cold brew with half and half. But when it's cold out, kind of like what it is, today was actually nice in New York. It was like 50 degrees. It was awesome. And the sun was out for the first time in, my God, it seemed like a year. Then I'll have like a hot coffee. But I don't know. I tend to be more iced than hot. Thoughts there? Do you guys prefer iced or hot? Yeah, Robert, you're right. Metropolitan Opera Building in the middle. Now we're going to cross the street here on Columbus Avenue. It seems like there must have been a show. I think maybe the Nutcracker is just getting out. But I want to show you guys this sort of interesting orb that is here. And the sounds that are coming out of it or coming off of it are fantastic. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. You know, I actually took like a lunch/dinner break today at work, and I actually got some standalone video footage here. But it's unique. They always have some awesome stuff here at Lincoln Center. I'm not sure if you guys remember from our summer streams, they were doing the silent disco here. Hey, FredX is here. Good to see you. All right, I'm gonna get up close here to give you guys a view, and I'll let you guys listen to the sounds here. And maybe I'll just get a quick shot of the QR code. Maybe some of you want to scan it while you're at home, just so you can understand what this is all about. So this is gonna be here from December 6th to December 18th.
There has not been a moment when we have not intervened. Therefore you know that as long as you continue to breathe, I continue to be in you.
Should we go in the thing? What do you guys think? Maybe be too loud. But it looks really nice. Very unique here. Oh, I think we may need tickets to get in. We'll try. I'll give it a shot. Wow, Ryan Royal. Is that true? Says the Metropolitan Opera actually just suffered a cyber attack. That's insane. I mean, we've been talking about cybersecurity almost ad nauseum on the stream. You know, Latha, that's actually a very, very interesting thought. So Latha says maybe they're trying to get all of the data from the very wealthy donors. I mean, if you think about the email list, the Metropolitan Opera probably has. I mean, just think about, you know, this sort of clientele. Now, what do you guys think of the full moon here? Now, is it an actual full moon, or is this maybe like a 99% full? Look at everybody coming out of the show here. Now we are testing out a new streaming service, so let me know if we are streaming in 1080p. Alright, I'll give you guys one more shot here and then we will walk back down Central Park South. Christy F, Brian, Matthew M. It looks dark. Yeah, I didn't really have enough time to adjust the settings on it. Although I think it's just we're in a part of town where this isn't really Midtown Manhattan, right? This is a more residential style neighborhood, so not too many people. Not too many big buildings as well. Hey, Shauno is here. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. We are here in New York City live from Lincoln Center. Yeah, Latha says the streaming service is solid so far. I think the only drawdown is it's very difficult to read the chat. I mean, I could see the chats, but they're so small. And I don't have the ability to really scroll through them. Robert says, which app is this? So we are streaming from OBS Streamlabs, which I use sometimes, but I'm not really a big fan of it, to be honest. But we do the best we can. Now, for those of you who tuned into the live stream yesterday, we mainly talked about Toll Brothers reporting their earnings. I think they actually had a follow-through day today and were consistently up. So we're going to keep an eye on the home builders, right? Because sometimes, not all the time, we could use the home builders as a leading indicator for the housing market. And maybe this is a signal that this isn't going to be Armageddon, right? Everybody, well, I wouldn't say everybody. There's many people on Wall Street that are claiming that this next downturn in housing is going to be worse than the 2008 financial crisis. Now, they may be right, they may be wrong, I'm not sure, but I think what we can do is try to look at all of this data. But if you noticed after the earnings report, if you go to tradingview.com or any sort of charting service you use, look at all the volume that poured in to Toll Brothers, right? And it seems as if they're trying to make at least a lower or a higher low, and earnings were actually pretty good. Now, they did give forward guidance that was above analysts' expectations. In Q4, they did have expanding gross margins in an environment where almost every single other company is experiencing margin contraction. So I think those were two bright spots. But I would say the downside was with the transaction volume and the transaction activity. I think it was down almost 60% in terms of unit volume and dollar volume. And that's pretty significant, right? That is very, very significant. And obviously the CEO came on the earnings conference call and he said that interest rates is the number one deterrent for a lot of their clients as to why they're saying they're not pulling the trigger on buying a home. They're saying it's because interest rates have moved a mere 100%, right? But if you actually look at the 30-year fixed rate mortgage now, it's coming down a little bit. And that is because the 10-year U.S. Treasury yield is also coming down a little bit. So we'll keep our eye on it. We'll keep our eye on it. If you look across the street, this is the Smith. It is a pretty good restaurant. It's all right. It's not the best, but it is definitely a New York classic. I think there's a couple locations in the city. The location that we walk past the most is actually, I think, it's just above Madison Square Park. Hey, Evan Weeks is here. What's up? Good to see you. No, DJ Blackjack, I didn't hear that. So they're all going to the moon? Who's setting that up? Elon Musk? Wow, interesting. Hey, Matthew M, good to see you. I'm thinking it's 720p now. Well, I think I set it to 1080p. You may just have to refresh the browser, but also it may be the OBS Streamlabs. Who knows? We'll see. Now, again, for those of you who didn't see it yesterday, if you type !TOL in the chat, it'll drop the earnings press release. Take a read through it. You're going to see a lot of good comments in there. They raised forward guidance. So I don't know. We'll see. Now, be very careful of when you use this as a proxy to the overall housing market, because Toll Brothers plays in a very niche market within the housing sector, which is luxury homes. So obviously the clientele is a lot different than, somebody looking for a first-time buyer, I would say.
Yes.
Hey, Line Sync says it's 1080p for me. It's beautiful picture quality. That's surprising because I think I have it at 30 frames a second, which usually is pretty poor.
Well, I feel like breaking the ice. The first time. I don't know why.
But it should be !TOL, I believe. I'm not sure. Maybe I have to program Nightbot into OBS Streamlabs. Who knows? Who knows? You know what? I'm going to turn here. This was the Best Buy, by the way. So this is out of business. So the Best Buy is no longer here. I think it is going to be a furniture store, maybe? We'll see. Interesting. Looks like they're setting up something. Maybe they're going to do a full rip and replace here. Hey, see Lavender says, hey, Tom's Talking is back. Yeah, I mean, we're trying out a new streaming service, so we'll see. All right, so this is for sale.
Hey, bro, you got a can?
Huh?
You got a can?
Oh, what's that?
Can this dick fit in your mouth?
Yeah. Shawno says they're selling all the furniture in the store from the Best Buy. I got it. Yeah, I don't think it's worth $500. What about this one? $1,000 for the table? Jeez. Oh, Dusty Cole. This is what did he ask? Oh, I think he's just like a troll or something. He made like a joke. He asked me if I had a can, and I said I didn't know. And then he said, "Can this expletive fit in your mouth?" And I said, "Yeah, I guess. I mean, whatever." Now, yesterday we were also talking about something very interesting and important. But really quick, I'll show you guys into the courtyard of 15 Central Park West, which is very, very beautiful. Now, there's an interesting emerging trend. I don't think it's the most important thing to pay attention to, but I think it's something that we could keep in our tool chest. So usually the data shows that during recessions or times of economic contraction, consumers, right, both female and male, tend to spend more money on makeup products and beauty products in general. So there's two specific companies that I wanted to highlight on the stream. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, but the stream was going crazy, so I'm not even sure if you guys saw it. I don't know if we were buffering. Really quick, this is the beautiful skyline again of Billionaires Row. So Ulta Beauty, ticker symbol ULTA, and number 2 is Elf Beauty, ticker symbol ELF. Now notice if you go to their 10Ks and their 10Qs or the quarterly earnings reports, notice how sales has been ramping. And also earnings have been ramping the last couple quarters, and it's no surprise that those two particular stocks, while the overall general market is down, they're actually ramping, and they continue to hit all-time record highs. Now, I don't bring this up to say go buy these stocks, right? That's not the reason why I bring it up, but you know, as you start to get familiar with business cycles and you've lived through a couple of them, maybe you can use these to generate trade ideas down the road or down the line. Now, I want to give you guys an interesting article. This is really quick, West 61st Street, right at Central Park West here. This is the Trump International Hotel and Tower as we make our way towards Columbus Circle. Now, if you type !makeup, MAKEUP in the chat, there's an interesting Forbes article. I think they did a pretty good job outlining that exact thesis, right? The consumer spending trends in economic declines or recessions. And it's interesting that people do tend to spend a little bit more money on makeup products, beauty products, and things like that during generalized downtrends. And I'm not going to tell you guys why, because number one, I don't think anybody could say for certain, but I think it would spoil the article. I think it's interesting, maybe if you guys want to take 15 minutes out of your day to give it a read. It's pretty thought-provoking information. Wayne McKay is here. Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining. I see the ABX girl from the Bronx. Always a pleasure to have you. Tom FOX. Is it always trash day in New York City? You know, I think that brings us to an interesting point. I'm not sure who said it in the chat, but New York City is looking for, what do they call it? A lead rat exterminator. I guess the base salary, the starting salary for that is $180,000. I actually think that's quite underpaid for that work. But he's supposed to fix all the rat problems, and I think it stems by, or in my opinion, I think it starts with all of the garbage that's sitting on the streets. Now, I'm not sure what the solution is, right? Because there's very few alleyways in New York, so there's really no place to store the trash. So on garbage day, you sort of have no other choice but to leave it on the curb, right? But I think that attracts a ridiculous amount of rats. Who knows? Yeah, Mark Francis 076 has just got to get rid of the garbage. I mean, I guess they're trying, but we'll see. Oh, yikes. It was almost an accident there. Oh, James Dixon says, yeah, they're calling it the garbage czar. Yeah, Palmetti says, I've said it before, it all starts with the trash problem. Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be a tough problem to solve. Just because New York City is so populous, so densely populated. Now, I think this helps, getting the garbage off the ground and into bins. But look, I mean, there's millions of people in New York. I think everybody has to play their part. Now, supposedly, I was reading an article in the New York Post, not to sort of make the whole stream about garbage, but I think it's relevant. During COVID, I think there was cuts to sanitation with how frequently they would pick up the garbage, coupled with a lot of the outdoor dining facilities. And many of them were not maintained properly. They're in disrepair. So the city is actually working very closely with these restaurants and different organizations to try to take them down. So we'll see. Ed T says, does the rats get rid of the roaches? I don't think so. I think cats get rid of the roaches more than anything. The ABX girl says, Orkin lists Chicago is #1 for rats, then LA, Atlanta, then New York City. Wow. Yeah, ABX girl, I think you posted that before. I was super surprised to read that. Now, walking around New York City, I mean, if you're going to tell me that Chicago has more rats, I mean, whoa, I couldn't even imagine that, because sometimes, especially later at night, around Bryant Park, also near the Plaza Hotel, those are the two crazy hot spots. Now, you wouldn't think near the Plaza Hotel there's a lot of rat activity, but I think that's the worst, right at that fountain there. Maybe we'll take a walk over to the Apple store and then head down 5th. We'll see. Matthew M says, wrong, I'm from Chicago, it's not even close. Look, again, I don't know. I've never been to Chicago, but I mean, supposedly the data says it, who knows, but I could tell you with certainty there's a ton of rats here. In definitely those hotspot locations. DJ Blackjack says, I heard Apple is launching their car in 2026. So I think I heard that too. And didn't Apple formally announce that they're actually kicking it down the road and delaying the announcement? A lot of big news coming out of Apple this week. Tim Cook has formally announced that they are going to be investing a lot of money into semiconductor manufacturing in Arizona, which is good news, right? I think these draconian in nature zero COVID policies have really forced Apple's hand to really make a move. So this is actually behind Central Park Tower. I always show you guys the view from 57th Street, but check out the view from 58th Street. This is right in the Nostrum building as well. You can really get a sense of just how crazy tall this building is. And then, as always, you can see 157. But here, speaking of Ken Griffin Citadel Securities, this is 220 Central Park South. Now, this is where you have your sort of roundabout driveway here. Really, really beautiful architecture here on 220 Central Park South. Very different than the Central Park Towers of the world, or the Steinway buildings, or the 157s, where everything is merely all encased in glass. This is more marble, limestone, really, really nice. Yeah, I want to be GMO. I saw that too. Now, I think somebody posted it on Twitter. I'm not sure what the handle was, but oh look, they're closing the gates here at 220. You can see the huge, sort of like golden gates closing here. Probably closing up shop for the night. And they're right next to a firehouse. Big shout out to the FDNY. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream tonight, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We usually do these live streams about 5 days per week between New York City and Miami. We'd love to have you guys here, so please hit the subscribe button. We're doing some beta testing tonight, so apologies if the stream is not running as fluid as it usually is. Hey, Fun Feeds. No, you're right on time. Good to see you. So we're coming up on the New York Athletic Club. This is 7th Avenue and West 58th Street. This is one of my favorite buildings. And it looks like there's actually an event going on right here. Hey, Blues Writers here. What's up? Good to see you. Dusty Cole, God bless you. Thank you for joining us tonight. This is also a really, really nice building. The architecture is fantastic. I'm not sure the exact name of the building, but I think it used to be a restaurant here. Just the Guy says, what's your prediction for the PPI printout tomorrow? Yeah, Just the Guy makes a good point. Tomorrow's the day that's going to make the week. The PPI numbers come out tomorrow, I think at 8:30, right? 8:30 Eastern. And then after that, Tuesday is when we are going to get the CPI numbers. So a ton of inflation data coming out before the FOMC meeting. Obviously, that FOMC meeting is December 13th through the 14th. And they're pricing in about an 80% probability of a 50 basis point rate hike. Now, I could have sworn this used to be a restaurant. It may have closed down, but the building is unreal. I'm going to try to get a little bit closer for you guys so you could see the architecture here. I think you'd really enjoy it. But I think we're going to come in line. Wow. So I'm not sure how good this is going to come out, but pay very close attention to the details on the side of this building. It's almost unreal. Check it out. You may get similar vibes of that as St. Thomas Church. Optimus 17, yes, very Gothic style indeed. Touring different places. Good to see you. Ooh, looks like somebody broke the window though. It's not good. MB says, Tom, didn't you used to live around this area? Yes. I did. So I'll show you guys, so really quick, we very seldom walk down 58th Street. So this is the back of the New York Athletic Club. And in just a minute here, you are also going to see the back of the Park Hyatt, as well as 157. But I think more importantly and more interestingly, if I could direct your attention to the left-hand side of your screen, on the northernmost side of West 58th Street, this is actually the JW Marriott Essex House. Very, very famous 5-star hotel here. Not the most modern hotel, but very classic. If you stay here, it's almost going to be like taking a time travel through olden times in New York. Brian Forrest, good to see you. Edward O, what's up? Matthew M, thank you so much. I appreciate your kind donation. Now, it's hard to see the donations and things as they come in on this streaming service, but thank you for your very kind donation. Yeah, Line Sync, I'm excited. You know, speaking about traveling abroad, I am in the process of getting my passport finally. So I'm excited about that. Hopefully I'll have some time to go to Korea, maybe visit the UK. But this is the backside of the Park Hyatt Hotel. I'll tell you something very interesting here. If you notice, if you could look all the way down this hallway, yes, it may seem like an ordinary hallway, but I could assure you it's actually not. This is actually an art gallery. There's very, very expensive and very unique art here. So if you ever stay at the Park Hyatt, come in the back entrance. That is a little bit of a tip from me to you. Come in the back entrance. Unfortunately, you have to have your key card to get in. You have to scan it right here. But if you ever stay in the Park Hyatt, come in the back entrance and you can have a free walk down an art gallery. For those of you who did not know already, many of you probably already knew, but we do have a lot of new people here. Blue says Jeju Island is also a good spot in Korea. I think I may go there too. Jeju Island is a very popular vacation spot. Very beautiful. I want to try to go there in the spring or the summer. I'm not too sure I want to go there in the winter, but it looks like I may have to do that. Wow, Roberts is Park Hyatt, $650 a night. I think it actually may be a little bit more than that. Now, there was a crazy event that went on at the Park Hyatt just a couple of days ago, where I think the NYPD bomb squad had to be called because, unfortunately, there was a maid or a housekeeper that unfortunately got really sick after she cleaned up a white powdery substance in one of the rooms. And at first glance, the bomb squad arrived on the scene and it tested positive for bomb-making material, but it was a false positive, and I think we could all probably guess what it was, right? Obviously. But anyway, I'll digress. Now here's my old building. This is actually the back side of 106 Central Park South. Right next to the steakhouse that I've never eaten in. Wow, this is a really, really nice shot of 106 Central Park South and the full moon here. Now my building was this one right here, all the way at the end. Really, really nice. And then this is the back end, or the back entrance of the Steinway building. So obviously the gates are closed now, but during the day, if you can ever walk past here when the gates are open, it is unreal. Really, really beautiful there. So if you see that huge tall building all the way in the back, this is the behind the sort of the behind the scenes back entrance. Really, really nice here. War Walker says, what floor? I was on the 20th floor. Now, the only reason why I got this apartment is because we had a mini flash crash in real estate, in both obviously the rental and the buyer's market. Everybody was dumping real estate. Everybody wanted to get out. And yeah, this is the back entrance to the building. So I was able to get a studio apartment for either $2,000 or just a tad under $2,000. I forget. I think it was just $2,000. Now, for many of you around the United States and around the world, you may be like, oh my God, $2,000 for a studio? I get it. It's horrible. It's expensive, but that's New York City for you. But if you're familiar with the area, $2,000 for Central Park South is almost unheard of, and it'll probably never happen again. So I thought I had to jump at the opportunity to do that. Anyway, we are now on 6th Avenue, my favorite avenue in the entire city. If we walk $1,000 for the same thing, I think mine... it's buffering a little bit. Okay, we will walk away. I think Midtown is going to be a big no-go. Obviously, with all the tourists and everything coming in for the holiday. Yeah, Western Mass Davis, like Tom, you started the channel from the apartment. I did, many moons ago. I think we're gonna have to stay away from Midtown Manhattan, at least until the holidays are over, because for obvious reasons. But yeah, this is the beauty of living at Central Park South, well, at the time. Your backyard is Central Park, right? And I think that was one of the things that attracted me most to the building. Obviously, if you walk down here, you'll hit into the Deutsche Bank towers. Now, across the street is the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. Now, I think I said this before, but I really want to make sure everybody gets to see this interview. When I was last time when I was in Miami, Florida, I had the pleasure of attending the Miami Economic Conference event with Ken Griffin, the CEO and founder of Citadel Securities. He did sort of like a sit-down interview with the mayor of Miami, and they finally posted it up. I originally didn't think they were, but they finally did post the interview up. So if you type !Miami in the chat, the Nightbot will drop the link with Mayor Francis Suarez and Ken Griffin from Citadel Securities. It's about a 50-minute interview. I would take some time to watch it, listen to it. I think you guys would get a lot of value out of it. There is a lot of talk about global macro, but more about the specifics of the market. There's inflation talk, and I think it'll help you guys understand what the main drivers of all of the inflation are and were. So once again, I think the Nightbot will drop the YouTube link. I think it's about 50 minutes, definitely well worth the watch. Hey, Brad's Brain, what's up? Good to see you. Carol H is here. She's missing New York City this Christmas. I was there 3 nights in October on my way back to Puerto Rico from Europe. Wow, that's awesome. That's fantastic. Carol H, thanks for being here. Dan Zhang says, Tom, what are your thoughts on crude oil? Gave back all of its 2022 gains. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty good proxy for where inflation is going to go, right? Now, crude futures are what, $72 now? We've now seen the XLE retrace all the way back below its 50-day moving average as well. So I think this energy trade is getting a little bit long in the tooth. I don't know. There's many. I was on Twitter today, and there was many, I would say, respectable and notable fund managers that was actually proposing a bullish thesis here, saying that they're buyers of crude at 67. Now, obviously, that is where the 200-week moving average comes in, but I don't know. I'm not too sure. I don't know. I think we've put in a pretty long-term top in crude. Obviously, we hit an all-time high in March, so we'll see. I mean, and it makes sense at the end of the day, right? When we've been reviewing a lot of the leading economic indicators. So this is the park where I think there's the most rats. I was telling you guys about it. It's beautiful, but there are a lot of rats here. This is outside the Plaza Hotel. I'll try to give you guys an up-close look at it. Zozo Bob's gas is under $3 a gallon here in Florida. Yeah, I mean, it should, right? It should. If crude goes from 130 to 70, that's good news. I think that's good news, right? I mean, I think one of the biggest thorns in the side of an average working American was the egregious gas prices throughout 2021, and now they're coming down. I know, Laythis is no penguin display this year. Yeah, they used to have penguins all up here. You're right. Laythis, I can't even remember the last time gas was $3 a gallon in California. Yeah, I don't know what you guys are doing over there in California. Always seem to have the highest gas prices. It's probably because of all the incremental taxes and things like that. Now, what I'm watching is the main two components in the XLE, which is number one is ExxonMobil, number two is Chevron. Now, they're coming off the back of blowout earnings reports, right? Really, really strong corporate earnings reports. I think record windfall profits. But that was the quarter ended September, and September crude prices were still over $100. So I don't know. Maybe earnings have topped. It's either one of two things are going to happen, right? It's either the XLE and the stocks, the individual stocks are going to catch up with the commodity, or the commodity is going to catch up with the individual stocks, and the PMIs are declining, right? Economic activity is slowing, which usually signals that, you know, if I had to bet, now again, I could be 100% wrong, but I think the individual stocks are going to catch up with the commodities. So they finally have the nativity up here. Hey Gregory, welcome, good to see you. Brad's Brains says it's gas tax and punitive regulatory costs. Cali gets what it voted for, but that's too much politics for me. Yeah, there's a lot of incremental gas taxes and things like that in California that are really driving the price for sure. Melissa 2087 says, Tom, what park is this? I'm not sure what the exact name of this park is called, but it is right across the street from the Plaza Hotel, which is here. And it is also across the street from the Apple Store and Central Park. So Central Park South, 59th Street and 5th Avenue. If you want to come here, this is where it'll be. Melissa 2087 says, Tom, it's $3.59 here in New Jersey for gas. Look, lower is better. At the end of the day, we're all Americans here, and we want this inflation to come down here. Now, obviously, we talked about tomorrow is going to be the PPI report, but Tuesday is the CPI report. Now, I understand and I know. Oh, look at the horse go by here. really beautiful creatures, but I don't know, maybe it's a hot take. I kind of feel bad for them. I know, I kind of feel bad for these guys, man. Now, I know they're well taken care of and all that, but who knows? Anyway. But Tuesday, we're going to hear from the CPI, right? CPI report. Now, I know the Federal Reserve, so our friends, Fed Chair Jerome Powell, they look at the core reading, right? So core CPI is different from the headline number in that it excludes volatile food and energy costs. So I think this CPI report and the next one that's going to come out next month, you're going to see a huge drop in the headline number, I think. And that is because look at the price of crude oil. Gasoline prices are going to come down. Now, core is a little bit more tricky. Why? Well, for a lot of the reasons that we've been talking about. Number one, I would say, is shelter costs, right? So about 33% of the CPI number is shelter costs. Now, rents are starting to come down. The cost of living and rents and things like that are starting to come down. But I think it's going to be at a snail's pace. I don't know. Thoughts on that? I think that's more important to talk about. What are you guys seeing in your neck of the woods? Are you seeing rental prices come down, or are you still seeing landlords raising rents and people actually having strong demand for those high rents? Now, I could tell you in New York, yes, the rent is ridiculously high, but if I'm being honest, if you look at Zillow, apartments.com, and sort of do what I told you to do with that makeshift algorithm, I'm actually seeing some price cuts, like a $100 price cut here in select neighborhoods, mainly the boroughs. And for whatever reason, the Upper East Side of Manhattan, there's a lot of studios, a lot of one-bedroom apartments that I'm seeing $100 price cuts, $200 price cuts, but still expensive nonetheless. Joseph Hardaway says, Tom, the rents are starting to come down a bit. Ali Star says, Tom, it's ridiculously high here in Australia. If you can get even somewhere to rent. So you're saying it's a supply issue. Is that what you're saying? Layla says, rent is mostly stable right now in San Francisco and most cities I'm checking. However, they are offering 1 month free in numerous places. Layla, they're offering that here too, I saw in some places. Now, the last time I've seen them do that was during the pandemic, where they were actually offering 3 months free. That was the most wild I've ever seen it. Dr. Longus says, yes, great stuff for sure. They are taxing people. Yeah, Millie says, the Oregon rents continue to rise and outpace wage growth. People are being displaced. It is a serious situation. This is Millie. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think we have an overall housing crisis in the United States because supply is historically low. That is the truth. Now, this is how come I'm blanking on the name here? 430 Central, wow, I'm having a brain aneurysm here. 430 Park Avenue, there we go. Now, these little things you can see directly into the Apple Store here. 432, there we go, my God. Yeah, Matthew M says sleep cubicles will become more popular. Well, did everybody see that tweet that Elon Musk put out? Actually, I'm not sure if it was Elon Musk, but supposedly they are... Hey.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, my name is Sean.
Sean, what's up, dude? Good to see you.
It's good to see you. Bagels and Walks on YouTube. I'm on your channel
dude, what's
every
up?
now and then. I saw you over here, and I was like, I just finished up a stream.
Awesome,
I was in
dude.
the neighborhood. I was trying to get a thumbnail.
Dude, good to see you, man.
It's good to see you.
That's
too.
awesome.
Happy holidays.
I see you in the chat all the time. It's good to put a face to the
How you
name.
doing? I don't want to interrupt the stream.
No,
but
dude, I don't care.
I have to say hi to the famous Tom.
Of course, dude. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's shoot me an email. We'll connect sometime.
I would love
in
to
the
do
city.
that. I would love. Don't let me interrupt the stream. I just want to introduce
absolutely.
myself.
Dude, yeah, it's good seeing you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays too, man.
Cheers.
Yeah, shoot me an email. We'll connect.
I will.
Thanks, man. Have a good one.
Say hello. I'll see them and say hi.
Thanks for coming on. Everybody, that's our moderator, Bagels and Walks. There we go. Love that. Oh, John says, wait until you get old, Tom. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I noticed if I'm lacking on sleep a little, I start to forget like obvious things. But I think that's, for obvious reasons, right? Also, this week has been a whopper for me this week at work. It's been nuts, to say the least. Yeah, Ryan Royals is Bagels and Walks. Yeah, man. He's always in the stream. Always in the chat helping us out. All right, I'll give you guys one more shot of the one and only beautiful again, Plaza Hotel. There we go. Forgot the name of that. And then we'll head down. Yeah, Joseph says Musk is being investigated because an office can't have sleep pods. It makes no sense. I really don't know. Now, there were some leaked photos on Twitter that obviously Elon Musk is demanding or requiring his employees, Twitter, to work ridiculous hours, right? Very controversial, I get it. And he's actually converting some of the space where employees can sleep there. Now look, I mean, it's at the end of the day, they're being employed at will, right? It's not like they have a gun to their head to be there. So here's how I take it. And maybe I'm not right. I have a very open mind. Maybe this take is not the right take. But what I will say is, let's say if I was a software engineer, which I'm not an engineer. I'm on the sales side. I do work in tech, but I work in tech sales, so I'm not on the engineering side. But let's say if I was a full stack software engineer, something like that, I would be trying right now to work at Twitter, because how many chances and opportunities does one have to work alongside in the office with one of the probably most successful entrepreneurs of our time? Now, regardless of what you think about his political views or whatever, right? That's not the point. If you're in your mid-20s or early 20s, Elon Musk is there at the Twitter headquarters every day. I mean, that's just like a free education in itself, and you're getting paid to do that. Yeah, I think I would be sleeping at the office too. Again, maybe a hot take, that's just what I would do, because you're getting paid to have one-on-one FaceTime with Elon Musk. The man, let's just keep the comments political-wise to a minimum. I understand the concern about the left and the right. Yeah, I mean, in my view, I'm more concerned about what I could learn, right? But I understand if there's some people at Twitter that maybe have, if there's some people that, have kids, they need that work-life balance, well, maybe that's not the place for them to do that. Now, Elon Musk is a super intense guy, and maybe this will just open up the playing field for some very hungry, maybe younger, more ambitious people to come in there and build a new product. Who knows? So this is the Tiffany's inside. It's funny, my neighbor in Miami is actually, Melissa 2087 says my uncle used to sleep at his desk at work. I've pulled some all-nighters in my office too. Millie Vanilli says I agree, the opportunity to work with Musk is definitely a good one. Hey, Bagels and Walks is in the chat. I don't know if he wants me to say his name here. But good meeting you, my friend. Thanks for joining us. Twitch ASMR, sleeping on the floor, 95-hour work week, and brain chip implants not worth the lesson. Yeah, I mean, look, it's at the end of the day, this is at will, right? Now, you're free to quit and you're free to leave if you want, but I think where I am, again, I'm not an engineer, right? But if I was a software engineer and I was in my early 20s, don't really have any responsibilities, I'm not after work-life balance, right? I'm after trying to learn as much as possible. So if that means I could work a year at Twitter, and if I have to sleep at the office to learn from one of the best entrepreneurs and get around like-minded people, I would do that. I would totally do that, right? Because that's what I'm after, right? If some people are after the work-life balance, then it's not going to be a good fit. And there's nothing wrong with being after good work-life balance, right? Everybody's always on their different trajectories in life. I'm not one of those people that believes, everybody should be at 100% all the time. It depends on what you personally want, right? So if you want to have a job that's 9 to 5 and you clock out right at 5 o'clock, you should do that. It's the United States of America. You can do whatever you want, right? But you should also have the free will to work like a dog and be rewarded for your efforts, right? So I think it's very malleable, this subject. But I don't know, if I was in my early 20s again, just coming out of college, an engineer, I would really, really try to work at Twitter just to learn as much as I could. Thank you so much, Raft Inc. $2 for the umbrella replacement fund. I appreciate that very much. Thank you so much. Thank you for your support. I really, really appreciate that. Yeah, Matthew M's is worth the experience for sure. Priceless knowledge. I know. Gibson says you should go inside the peninsula. It's beautiful at Christmas. I kind of want to, but I'm not sure if we're allowed to film in there. And I don't really want to get in like an argument with the door guys. Maybe after the stream, I'll ask them if we could film inside, and then we'll do it. But Fifth Avenue looks really, really nice here, walking down Fifth. Hey, Frank Garcia says, Tom, why would some people want to sell T-bills at a discount? What would be the benefits? I don't know. Like, why would an investor want to sell treasury bonds? I mean, I think it's a broad question in regarding what context, right? Like, are you, well, usually if you want to, let's say you look at the yield curve, right? So in normal times, so think about the curve in normal times, right? Across the street is I keep forgetting the name of this too. I think I'm just having a crazy night with the technical difficulties, but in normal times, long-term treasuries, right, or longer dated treasuries will yield more than shorter term dated treasuries, right? And that is generally because, right, one of the reasons is capital allocators, generally speaking, will sell long duration debt and buy shorter term duration treasuries. Right now, why might they want to do that? Well, if you're forecasting economic activity that's positive and GDP expansion and corporate earnings expansion, why, as a capital allocator, would I want to tie up my money for 30 years at a low yield? I wouldn't. So I want to manage my liquidity by buying the short end of the curve, right? So maybe like a 2-month or something like that, and then go long risk assets like equities, right? And if we understand the relationship, this is St. Thomas Church, between bonds and yields, when you sell bonds or when bonds are selling off, yields go up. And when you're buying bonds, yields go down. So in normal economic times, right, if you're having capital allocators bullish on the market environment, they're buying the short end of the curve, suppressing rates, and generally speaking, they're selling the long end of the curve, forcing rates to go up. That is what you call a normal, healthy yield curve. But, hold that thought. I got to plug in my battery pack, or else we're gonna go out here. I gotta put you guys on the ground. That's what you call the rat cam we got. Oh, thank you guys so much for the donations. I can't really see the donations because we're kind of running on like a bootleg streaming service tonight, which I apologize for. But thank you all for your donations. I really appreciate that. This is very kind. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, so the reason why, right, and there's three types of yield curve, right, when we're talking about the treasury market or the sovereign bond market, government bond market. You can have a normal yield curve, right, where the long end of the curve is yielding more than the short end. You could have a flat yield curve, right, and then you could have an inversion. Now, it's important, and we talked about this like last week, 2 weeks ago, it's important as portfolio managers and traders to understand not only the environment we're in, but where we came from, right? Because it is very bullish when you have an inverted yield curve that is starting to flatten, right? So if you have a yield curve that is inverted, but is just starting to flatten out, well, that means that yield curve is in transition back to normal, right? To a steep curve. But if you just looked at the yield curve and you're like, oh my God, the yield curve is inverted, this must be super bearish. Well, you're not doing all the work. You're taking shortcuts, which is not going to provide good results. You need to go back throughout history and understand where the yield curve is coming from and what the direction of the curve is, right? Because yes, an inverted yield curve predicts recessions. That is very correct. But are we trying to come out of that inversion to flat to normal? That is what we need to be watching. So the way I think about it, and this is the Cartier building here. The way I think about it is always put yourself in the frame of mind like you're a capital allocator, right? And if you're in a risk-on environment where the monetary policy is very accommodative, liquidity is flowing through the system, well, you want to get some risk on, right? And you want to buy equities. And you don't want to have all your money tied up in long-term treasuries. But if you're forecasting an economic recession and a downturn, well, investors have no problem tying up their funds for long duration because they're forecasting earnings contraction and GDP contraction. So that's sort of how I think about it, the yield curve, in my view. Look at this. This thing's kind of interesting here. There's a mailbox. Hey, Ghostly is here. Says, I like this street. Good to see you, Ghostly. Frank Garcia says, thank you, Tom. What books can I read on this subject? Well, I'll give you a good book recommendation for understanding monetary policy. So I think the number one thing that I think is the driver of markets, especially now, is liquidity, right? And depending on if liquidity is amply, or I don't know the word to use, is available in the market, liquidity will drive price. Ooh, I think once we go over here, we're gonna start to buffer. All right, let me put down the camera. I'll give you guys a good book recommendation for the history of monetary policy, right? Because what we want to do is we want to understand the monetary policy environment and how markets and equities and real estate have reacted in each historical interest rate environment, right? Whether it was a tight monetary policy, very loose. So let me get you the book recommendation. I think I have it in my bag. I've been reading it. I don't. I didn't bring it. Damn it. I didn't bring it. I apologize. It's at my house. But I think it's called A History of Monetary Policy. I don't remember the exact title. But it was actually a recommendation from Muhammad Al-Arian. And Muhammad Al-Arian is probably one of the most, well, at least one of the most famous economists. Cindy Foley, thank you for joining. We're going to make an attempt to walk down Fifth Avenue, but I think the internet may start to buffer. We'll see. Take a look at the Empire State Building all the way in the distance. We are standing right outside of St. Patrick's Cathedral. Milius, so just to clarify, currently we are experiencing an inverted yield curve scenario now. Yeah, we are. So the yield curve is very inverted right now. Very, very inverted. Oh, wow, cool. So Liz, this is Tom. I just saw the Nutcracker at the Kennedy Center. Wow. How was it? How was it? Let us know. All right, I think we're going to start to buffer in a minute. Let us know in the chat if we do. But I believe the book was called The History of Monetary Policy. If you go to my Twitter, if you follow @WalksWallStreet, I think I posted the book there. All right, how are we doing? Are we buffering? Hey, Julia M. Says, Tom, I just want you to know you inspire me to walk every night. That is fantastic. I love that. So the signal's good? Okay, usually the signal's not good here. But that's awesome. I think everybody should walk more. It's one of the easiest forms of exercise and actually one of the most effective too. So I love that. Touring different places, thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, let's cross through this way. This is right outside the Saks Fifth Avenue.
Hey guys, taxi.
ATC, thank you for joining. So everybody, take a look at this. Look at how beautiful the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree looks from here. Wow. I think it looks better from across the street. Hey, Roland Clarks, Tom, can you take us into Macy's before Christmas? We can. I usually don't like filming inside places, but we'll try it out. Yeah, Joe's like, it can kind of get lost closer up. I still think the Christmas tree at Wall Street is a little bit better, but this one looks kind of nice too. Line Sinks is Tom, as an American citizen who doesn't own a car and enjoys walking. You're demolishing the stereotypes. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I think if you work all day and then don't do any type of physical activity or mentally stimulating thing after, it's not good, I don't think. I think you need to do something completely different outside of work. And I think this is what the stream has provided us, or at least provided me. So it's good. I mean, if we could bang out, 10 to 13 miles a night, get some exercise in, hang out with the chat, I think it's a win-win for all of us. I mean, it's a win for me. I enjoy it. Okay, so Michael Joseph says try one of those cell boosters. A lot of streamers use them. I'll have to check it out. John says, Tom, have you been accused of exposing license plates of vehicles while streaming? My neighbor wants to know. Exposing license plates? I don't know. Aren't license plates legally supposed to be exposed? I don't know. I think they're supposed to be exposed, right? Depending on what state it is. Wow, take a look at the Empire tonight. I don't think I've ever seen that color scheme. Wow. So you have the classic... No, I don't even know why it's that color scheme. Maybe for the holidays, but... As we get closer, I think we're going to see a little bit better. But we are approaching the Diamond District. I think Lululemon took a bath today. I think they reported earnings and they dropped rather significantly on earnings. Speaking of our topic, here's Sephora, which is another makeup company. Now, who owns, I'm trying to think, is Sephora a subsidiary of LVMH? I don't know. Let me know. I'm curious now. Is Sephora a subsidiary of LVMH? Or am I thinking of something different? So we've officially made it to the Diamond District here in Midtown Manhattan. Oh, JM2 is correct? Okay. So the only reason why I know that is, wait, let me pause for a minute. Yeah, I think I could say that. Yeah, I was working a deal with them for fixed wireless in the stores. Right, so like wireless backup or failover. So God forbid there's like a power outage in one of the stores. They could lose significant revenue. So it would fail over to like routers for like fixed wireless, I guess. And it would roam on all three of the carriers. Anyway, we had to do a presentation and I was getting the two confused. I was getting Ulta confused with Sephora. But I remember the deal was so complex. Yeah, anyway, I'll just leave it there. But makeup stocks are doing really well. Ulta and e.l.f. Beauty, all-time record highs, new 52-week highs on ramping earnings and ramping accelerating sales growth. Yeah, Business Mail says Lululemon dumped 8% on earnings. So I was talking to one of my buddies. This was over back in the summer. He runs a mid-sized hedge fund. Wow, this is a really nice shot of the empire. What do you guys think? Really, really unique. And he's owned Lululemon for a long, long time. And he says he's not going to sell Lululemon until they have 50% or 70% penetration into menswear. Because Lululemon is mostly women's clothing. Is that correct? Now, I don't cover the stock. You guys know my sort of where I have an edge is, I think at least, is more SaaS and enterprise software. So that's the companies I tend to really drill down in. But I think Lululemon mostly, right? Is it fair to say it's mostly women's workout clothes, but now they're starting to get into menswear? Ah, okay. So Bucks reminds me of Ghostbusters when I would see the Empire State Building. SBK Pilot. This is thoughts on Carvana. Yeah, I think they're going to go out of business. This is mostly ladies' workout gear. I think they're starting to market to men, though, aren't they? Yeah, Blues Writer. This is when farmers start wearing yoga pants. I might buy Lululemon. Matthew M says babies wear soon, probably. Yeah, so Layla says they should market to men. I think they are just starting to do that. Now, the penetration is probably like almost nothing, but I think they're starting to do that. Business Mail, thank you. This is 21% men as of 2021. TMB says, I remember you called Carvana weeks ago. Was I mentioning it? I didn't remember. But yeah, a lot of those COVID darling stocks, many of these guys are never going to go back to their all-time record highs, right? And especially the big money-losing companies, that their business models essentially only worked because money was cheap, right? I guess you could classify that as a zombie company, where it's the perpetuation of debt acquisition, right? If you can constantly take on debt to service your existing debt, well, I guess you could do that when money is cheap. But we are living in a completely different environment. We are living in an environment coming off the back of 4 consecutive 75 basis point rate hikes and probably another 50 basis point rate hike next week on December 14th. So I think a lot of those companies, if they have to refinance their debt or take on more debt, I don't think they're going to be able to do it. And that's going to slow down business activity a lot. So we'll see. Wow, is that true? The LT Prod? This is Carvana got banned in Illinois for not fulfilling orders? Wow. I didn't know that. Dusty Cole says, am I the only Keynesian here? Look, I got nothing wrong with that. I think it's good to know both, right? I have the general theory on my bookshelf at home. I'll have to take a picture for you guys of my bookshelf and send it to you. I always get emails about that. It's on my Twitter, but if you want to follow us on Twitter, @WalksWallStreet. Ooh, Austin City Limits is Tom. Do you have a train to catch? It is 11 o'clock. Wow. Yeah, I do have a train to catch. I forgot we were doing the beta test stream tonight. I lost track of time. But if you guys sort of like, I don't think, we can't do that anymore. I was going to share with you the Behind the Street newsletter QR code, but we're on a different streaming service. So if you type !news, NEWS, in the chat, and you click the link that the Nightbot is going to drop, we do write a free investing newsletter where we talk about a lot of the stuff that you'll hear on the live streams, right? But it's mainly geared towards the US equity markets, emerging markets, fixed income. This is the beautiful Steven Schwartzman building, and real estate. So if you want to sign up for that, it's completely free. Stay up to date with the team here. If you type !news, NEWS, you will receive that for free. Yes, it's a biannual newsletter. Monday, we are going to be posting our schedule. So we are going to be getting on a more regular schedule for the streams, and I will post that on Monday. I'm putting the finishing touches on that. So just because I get a lot of emails about what time does the stream start, how often do you do it, so I think it would be easier just to post a schedule to the YouTube channel so you guys could periodically check and know what times we go live and things like that. Now, for all of those self-starters out there, maybe local here to New York, go to this building, take the elevator to the 5th floor. That is the International Business Center. And you could actually use the Bloomberg terminals for free. So a lot of people say, I don't have all the resources, I don't have the money to get started and learning a new skill or something like that. I don't know, I'd have to give a lot of pushback on that, because with the internet now, everything is pretty much free, right? There's really no need to pay for fancy, data services or subscriptions, because if you just go to your local library, like here, you could even use a Bloomberg terminal if you want. You really don't need it. I think Bloomberg terminal is just easier to get the data you need very conveniently. But really the only things you need to analyze a company is all publicly available information, right? Just go to sec.gov and you could punch in the ticker symbol for any company, and you have all of the financial reports, you have all the quarterly reports, and you have all of the annual reports up 24/7, 365. This is all free. So and I think that's the beauty of the internet, right? Oh, this is MedMen. Have you guys heard of this place? This is the what is it? They sell marijuana. They sell weed here. Now, this is a penny stock, this thing. This MedMen. I think it's a pink sheet. I think it actually trades over the counter. Oh, it's from, Bagels and Walks is medical purposes. Yeah, I think they actually have their stock publicly traded, but I think it's a pink sheet. I think it trades OTC. Vivian says medical marijuana. So in New York, right? It is legal here, or is it decriminalized? Now, I don't think it's to the point in New York yet where you could just walk in and buy it. I think you need to have a prescription. Is that correct? Again, I don't know, but is that right? So it's not like I could walk into the MedMen. Oh, they just turned off the lights at the Empire right as we get to the good view. Hey, photos from around New York. What's up? Good to see you. Hey, Mike. So it's originally from Oceanside. Love that. I spent a lot of time in Oceanside, right there on Gintel Street, by the canals. Beautiful area. Bagels and Walks says it's legal, but only sellers. Still have folks with medical cards. Ah, okay. So more unlicensed. Vivian says you need a prescription for it. Got it. Yeah, no, I'm just curious about it. You know, I think this is a Walks on Wall Street first here. For some reason, the Empire State Building is completely dark tonight. Strange. All right, team, I think we're going to call it a night. I appreciate everybody coming out on this strange live stream. I know it wasn't a traditional live stream like we usually do. We're working through some technical issues with Prism. So this is a new live streaming service. So hopefully I can get that figured out sooner rather than later. Oh, they finally put the lights back up. But if you guys enjoyed the live stream, feel free to hit the like button. Oh, I think that's a drone. Check this out. Look at the little dot right there. I think someone's flying a drone. That's going to be an amazing shot of the Empire on that drone anyway. If you guys enjoyed the stream, leave a like on the video. Hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. We will be back live tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, please God, as I work out the kinks on the live stream. But I appreciate everybody coming out and rucking it out through the technical difficulties. I appreciate it. And finish the week strong. Tomorrow is a big day, big stream. We got to talk about the PPI report that is coming out 8:30 New York time. Big inflation data. It's going to move markets. Futures in the green. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless everybody. Tom G, thank you so much. Austin City Limits, Fred X, Bagels and Walks, Vivian. Photos from around New York is our good moderator. Thank you for being here. Dusty Cole, Joe Driver, Tahoe, Abdullah, Mohammed, Gennaro J, Michael Joseph, ATC, Hawaii, the ABX girl from the Bronx. Thank you. Joseph Hardaway, Too Old to Be Gaming, Lena Sandoval, Joan K, Matthew M, Stephen Bate, Millie, Mike C, thank you. And to the Mighty Bull, have a good night wherever you are, because there's always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. Dr. Longus, Dave Thomas, Layda, Business Mail. Appreciate you guys. Be safe. Finish the week strong. Let's finish strong. Let's do this, all right? All right, take it easy.